Hi, welcome to this demo. I'm here to walk you through saturation. My name is Jens. I'm one of the founders and been a producer for the last 10 years. Just wanted to show you around and all the cool and useful features that we have here at Saturation. So what you're looking at here is the top sheet. This is where all of your budget line items funnel up to. We have some pretty basic columns here. You have your account line numbers or IDs, the description of those accounts, and you could see here that in this particular budget, I have an estimate, a running, and an actual column. But this just kind of shows you everything top level of what all of your finances look like. Everything works and operates like a spreadsheet, so you should be very familiar if you use Excel or Google Sheet or anything like that. All the standard navigation works the same way. You can double click to get inside of a cell. You can just start typing and it'll just start editing, Command Z and to undo and redo. So all of that should feel pretty familiar. And there's a list of shortcuts here. If you wanted to go full keyboard nav, you could. So let's go into one of these accounts here. And there's really three ways to get into an account. You could either click on it, you can hit Command down, or you can hit the expand icon here, and then you can see where you are here with this navigation menu. If you needed to navigate around, you could also see it here. So it kind of works like a file system. Here we have a lot more columns, and this is where you'll be able to put most of your details and your different calculations. So you can see here, I'm using the AICP template, which should feel familiar to a lot of people. And you can see here that James is here as well. And you can see that I have multiple collaborators. So this takes budgeting to the next level where you can actually collaborate with people and have different access controls for that. So you can see here, I have a list of collaborators here, and I can choose how I want to collaborate with them. And, some people don't want to collaborate and you don't have to share it with anybody either. So just some options here. So let's just go through what it looks like for one of these accounts. I can add a contact here. We have a contact management system built inside of Saturation, and you can funnel through this and see who you would want to add. So we'll just add KC here. And if I expand upon this, I can actually input more contact information, and I can also, let's just say it's, put some basic information there. And all of it is selectable. It'll take you right to your email. You can add attachments if you were going to do, call it W9s or crew start work or anything like that with people. You can add it all here. And then it's just a great way for you to have all of it in one place. If I knew the rate, I could add it here. And then the next time I input this contact, let's just hide this contact for now. I can retype, and you can see here that the rate auto-filled. The goal of Saturation is to try to automate as much of the process as possible. And so even if I wanted to edit on top of that, I could change this to a week and say that it's 3,500, 500 a week. And you can see that that updated. So this is your main ways of calculation is your quantity and rate columns. That's how you'll get something started in the total column. And then from there, you could add more things like a multiplier column. Let's just say you had 3 script supervisors or whatever the item is. You could add that there, and it'll just basically double it or multiply it. I'm going to remove that for now. And then this overtime column here is basically a great way to estimate if your production's going into overtime and you want to calculate the cost to be able to know what you're going to get for the whole day. We built in a calculator here that really does take it a step further than what typically has been done. So if you use payroll or anything like that, I think you'll really love this because it follows some of the pay standard calculations. So I can put 2 hours of overtime here, and it's already doing the math based on what the rate is, and it's going by whatever your base hours is. So let's just, for simple math, go back to the $7.50 a day, and you can see here that this would be my overtime for the day. Fringes are your additional costs that you have associated with a line. For non-union productions, this could be anything like taxes or payroll or anything like that. For union fringes, these are typically union dues, pension and health, that kind of stuff. So we have an easy way for you to input fringes into here. And this is basically coming from a table that you would set up. So let's just say there's something that I maybe haven't set up here. Let's just make this something else. And I can add a fringe. And you can see here, these are my fringes that I've already started adding. And then if I go back and I start adding them, let's go back to the one that we were at. I can add multiple of these and it will all start calculating. And they basically calculate all the way down here in the fringes row. And you can see here what your calculations for each type of fringe is. I can also even see it specifically for the line here, where I can see what my breakdown is of where that is going on top of that. So that's kind of like your basic editable columns that we have here. Another cool feature that we have is something called phases, where you can add multiple phases, and a phase could be anything. It could be a data modeling set, it could be a scenario, it could be just a way to see against your original bid with how you want to tweak it. It's just a non-destructible way to create scenarios for your budget. So an example of this is I could say, I want to see what it would take to shoot this in LA versus New York, and maybe there's some tax credits or benefits that I can have for that. So I'll hit LA scenario, and I'm allowed to copy the information from the existing phase. So basically what this does is, if I have all my base information here in the estimated phase, I can then hit create, and it will create a whole new set of columns that will allow me to then change these around, because I might know that it might be more or less in this particular scenario. So you could see here that as I'm changing some of this, you'll start to see the total change, and it's just an easy way to see that against it. And there's different ways to customize your columns and phases. I can edit and view certain things that are just particular to that phase or scenario that I'm in. And yeah, just an easy way to see that. And then if I don't want to see all this detail anymore, I can collapse it, and then I can just see the most important information that I need during that time. We go a little bit further than some spreadsheets that people might use as a way to budget. For an example, in this AICP template, typically you would be confined to the line numbers that were created. But let's just say you have multiple of one of these things. Let's just say that I have 2 different Steadicam ops, or even better, that we have multiple makeup people. I can then go here and associate multiple lines to this line. Artist 1. Let's just copy this over. If you have a contact and you know who they are, you can add that right away. And I can put quantity here, day. Let's just say they're 950. And let's just add some basic fringes. And then what I can do is I can copy and paste that here, or I can even drag it down here through multiple columns. And now we've just created a way to expand upon our current makeup hair and assist. So if I go back up, I can now see here that the line has turned into a category, and it won't let me edit on the line anymore. And you can see this by this little gray bar here, but it still gives you the total and the access to the detail whenever you want to see it. So that's some basic ways of creating and navigating. Just some additional features. You can also create subtotals. So if you know that, let's say this is my LA crew or something like that, I can create multiple subtotals that you can see, and it doesn't affect your grand total either. And things are pretty easy to move around inside of saturation, and you can see it start to recalculate fairly quickly. I can give it a different color and have it express myself a little bit. Speaking of customizability, we do have emojis as well, just as a way to customize it further. And you can make that whatever you want. If you don't like it, you can remove it. You can have multiple subtotals as well. Just say this is my work. And again, can customize it. The total is based on what goes above it until it hits the next subtotal or to the top. So basically anything that's a subtotal is calculating above it and shows up below. Let's go back to the top sheet real quick. And another handy feature that we have when creating a budget is something we call Markup. And it's just an easy way for you to create percentage-based or flat fees to something. So you can see here that this is a production fee that I have associated 10% for. We have an insurance one here as well. And I can create multiple of these as well. And let's just call this one contingency. And we'll just make this 5%. I can also make this a flat if I wanted to. And then you can see here that it calculates accordingly. And that's most of the high level versions of budgeting. Another cool feature is you can search around and you can hit Command K, and I can do a global search where I can just go to any chart of accounts and search and get right to it. Just an easy way to navigate in case you don't know all your line numbers right away. Another thing about collaboration is that you can comment and you can communicate right inside the app. So let's just say that in this particular scenario that I'm almost about to go over, I can hit comment and it'll tag this particular account and say, hey, let's talk about kitchen. And what this will do is send an email to anybody that is in my budget or my project. And we have other integrations as well where you can have Slack notifications. If I click on this comment here, it will show me and take me right to the comment. You don't have to send emails and export PDFs as a way to get communication across. And it'll take me to any page that there's a comment associated. So you can see here, there's another one here for camera op. Looks like I've been doing most of the commenting. And then you can resolve them as well. You can, once something is done, hit resolved, and there's a tally here of all the different things that have been resolved. And then once you've created a budget, the part that we're stressing is financial management. And so we go into an extensive actualization process where you're able to input all of your expenses, receipts, invoices, all in one place. And it's a safe storage place for all of it. You don't have to use Google Sheet for one part of it, Dropbox or Google Drive for another, and then whatever else you might use, QuickBooks or anything like that. You can do this now all in one place. And you can see here some of my expenses, and you can manually input the expenses. But the cool part about saturation is we link to your bank accounts where you're able to provide sources. So you can provide bank accounts, credit cards, anything like that, and link them here. You can see here that I have a credit card linked here. And basically what you can do is look them up here and then just hit import, and now the transaction just automatically imports. So you don't have to manually input it like some people probably have done in the past. And then from here you can just tag the category, and let's just say these are like talent fees or something like that. We'll go with the agency fees. So yeah, that is just an easy way for you to actualize, and then your numbers total up in the actuals column here and variance column here too. So just a easy to use and also thorough way to budget and project manage your productions. That concludes this tutorial. We look forward to seeing what you make. Thanks.